Praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to On Point, the number one Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any smart device at David G. Evans, the number one. That's at David G. Evans, the number one. We're so honored that you chose to join us once again. We ask you to like us, of course, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, help us reach 1,000 likes today, and we will be honored once again by your participation and your support. Subscribe to us. You want to make sure you invite a few friends to join our conversation today as we talk about those things which we believe are relevant and present, from political points of view to sports to major events, culture. Of course, we talk about the Lord, faith, and the Bible, but our entire conversation is all from a kingdom, a biblical perspective. So if you've been looking for that kind of conversation, you can call in, talk to us. We love talking to new callers as well as our legacy callers. The number is 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, 866-766-74 Evans. Give us a call. You can also, if you're a little shy about the phone, you can hit us on Facebook with your comments, and we will absolutely respond to you. If you join, are we on YouTube today?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
If you're on YouTube and you've got some comments there, we'll reach out to you also as the program progresses. But give us a call. Help stimulate the conversation. 866-743-8267. If you've been looking for a balanced biblical approach to today's events, conversations around those events of the day, you found the right place. On Point, the number one Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. On Saturday morning, we're here with our world-famous co-host, Reverend Nicholas A. Smith. How you doing, man?
Good morning. Good morning.
Wow, a lot going on, man.
Yeah, to say the least.
My recent acquaintance got arrested yesterday.
Yeah.
Our theme music is still playing.
Yeah, I was about to
that theme music we can do without it right now. Of course, Mayor Baraka, he got arrested yesterday, simply going down to a detention center to check on the things that were going on. And out of everyone that came to the center, he was the only one arrested.
Yes. They let him go, but of course a pure political move.
Oh, they had to. The governor went nuts. They didn't arrest anyone else.
The other Congress people were there.
Didn't arrest anyone else.
Yep. As an aside on this, did you hear the Trump administration, this is all related, wants to suspend habeas corpus? That is...
Why is that? What are they trying to do?
They're trying to, whoever's against us, we're going to try to find a way to send you to jail.
Absolutely.
And you don't get due process. You can't go to court.
Can't do a thing about it.
They're trying to use a wartime policy.
Yeah, there's been no invasion.
There's no invasion. And I'm saying it to say because we're seeing with Mayor Baraka, the judge in Wisconsin, they're trying to, whoever is against us, we're going to find a way to arrest you.
Do you think that the supporters of the president, how long can they hold out that, okay, I haven't been arrested, so this doesn't affect me?
Now, his extreme MAGA supporters are like in full, because they're not going to go against him in any way. So to them, it doesn't pose a threat.
Not even when it impacts them negatively?
It depends, because we've seen things impact them negatively and still say, I support him.
That's true. I saw a guy over the past week who actually said, even if I lose my job, and I can't support my family, I'm still going to support him. How can you support a policy that threatens the stability of your household?
Yep.
Once again, I think we're back to this support is not intellectual. It's not spiritual. It is absolutely emotional.
Yep. And you can hurt me as long as you keep the people I don't like in line.
Wow.
How small-minded is that?
How minded is that?
That's true. Yeah, okay.
That's an insult to small.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
Let's not offend small-minded this morning. Yeah, come on. Let's not offend that. Come on,
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I mean, really?
Yeah.
But I know a guy whose vote impacted his father, threatened his father's Social Security, his father's Medicaid, his woman. So that showed me the extremeness that until it touches him directly, he may start to have compassion for what's happening to other people.
Yes. Yep.
What does that say about us?
How selfish we are, prideful we are.
Okay.
I'll use an example. During COVID, there's a guy I know, 2 people in his family got extremely sick from COVID. And his whole thing was, well, we still got to move on and live. This is during a height when it was like crazy. No masks, nothing. He said, I know what happened to them, but I'm just fine. And just his lack of concern that people that he loved was on, they got sick, not like a cold. They were like on the brink. And he was just nonchalant about it, like, just.
I know you're telling the truth, and I know that's a real situation because one of our members had a relative die. Refused to mask up, refused to believe that it was real. And when I questioned her, I said, you told me your relative had COVID and passed away. Yeah, but I still don't believe it. I said, so what else would have to happen to your family for you to, come to some realization that you may not like the fact that it's here, but... And she just drew a blank.
Yeah.
I mean, that far off look that they get.
Yeah. But you did say years ago, a strong feeling will kick common sense off the cliff.
Absolutely. Shove it right off.
Right off. I want it so bad. Like even the garden. I know this can get me kicked out of this garden, but I want this fruit so bad.
Yeah.
Because of what it's going to do for me.
Yeah.
But it keeps going back. The Bible's so true.
It's right.
The root of sin is selfishness.
That's right.
And it always is rooted in self over everything else.
Absolutely.
No matter what it costs.
And no matter how it makes you look. Because I had a conversation a little while ago. Sometimes you have to let people talk till they finally hear themselves.
Yeah.
And selfish people don't hear themselves immediately because the very statement that they make to support their selfishness, it takes a long time for them to actually hear themselves.
Okay.
And I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people, we talk about having blind spots, a lot of people are their own blind spot.
Yeah. I was watching your video this morning about that.
Look, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was watching this morning. So yeah, but it made sense how you were bringing up that, and it's a blind spot for a reason. You don't always, you need somebody else to point it out to you.
Well,
and be open enough to receive it.
You can't see everything.
Yeah.
But when an individual is their own blind spot, it is virtually impossible to get through to them.
Yep.
And even when an incident happens where they hear themselves, they immediately rescue that revelation with the excuse that they've always used.
Yeah.
I'm justified in feeling the way I feel.
Yeah.
But they react vociferously if someone does the same thing to them.
Yes.
I've never understood that.
No. And it's crazy how Genesis 3 keeps repeating itself over
and over. Of course it does. Because
you're right. Adam and Eve sin, they fall, they hide. God confronts them. The first thing they do is start blaming everybody else. They got to have an excuse to hold up their... Even him. It's your fault. It's her fault.
They can't see themselves.
Can't see themselves.
Well, you know what? Perhaps they can. Because when we look at Paul and the conversation he has with Jesus on the Damascus Road, and he acknowledges that he's talking to the Lord. As a matter of fact, in 2 verses, he says Lord 5 to 6 times. So he's that part is part of his religious learning. He gets, well, this has to be God talking to me. And then the Lord asked, he says, why are you persecuting me?
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, why are you kicking against the pricks? Mm. And most people just kind of gloss over the pricks as something thorny. Mm-hmm. But the root of it means, why are you fighting against this divine inspiration?
Yes.
So in his heart, he knew God was calling him.
Mm-hmm.
But his response to that was to increase his behavior that was counter to what God was trying to do with his life.
Yes.
So the more he felt the pull, the worse he persecuted the church, until Jesus had to stop him and say, why are you messing with me?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Why are you kicking against what you know in your heart I'm calling you to do?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of when the demoniac was getting delivered, and that evil spirit had to wrestle him one more time before coming out.
Yeah. Yep. Try one more time.
Yeah, I just got to show off one more time.
Wow.
Have to be destructive one more time.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you're right. It's what do they say? Conversation can't cure rebellion. Only hardship does.
That's right.
And you're right. Some people, you got to let them keep going until that hardship clicks to open their ear up.
And speaks to them.
And speaks to them.
What's that? Hardship speaks the language of rebellion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like a grandparent said, a hard head makes a soft
behind. Yeah. That's the translation.
That's the translation.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, Evans. Give us a call. Robin from Bear, Delaware is on the line. We have room. Why don't you jump on right now? Now, so Department of Education. Mm-hmm. I know this isn't. I know we shouldn't laugh at people's stupidity. But I thought when Mrs. McMahon was describing the need for AI in the modern education system, when she said, I think an A1 curriculum is really going to be good. And the other people just sat there. No one had mercy on her to say, I'm sure you mean AI. Right? But she just kept going. What happens when you go to the next cabinet meeting? Does everybody say, did you have any A1 yesterday?
Right.
Do they zing her or do they just...
Yeah. Well, there has been a level of incompetence that many of his people have.
It's a clown show.
Yeah. Like the Library of Congress, right? Oh. So his press secretary was explaining the reason why he got rid of the Library of Congress person, the lady, black woman, was she promotes DEI and she'll let children check out books that promote DEI. And everybody's like, ma'am, you can't check out books at the Library of Congress. People are like, how don't you know this?
No, she didn't. She thought it was a public library.
It's not a it's a research library. You can't check out books. And she said this on camera.
What did the other people say?
But this is the people. Remember, the press corps is who they qualify, so they're not going to say anything.
Okay, so they weren't going to bring it to her attention.
But people online are like, ma'am, look, I went to the Library of Congress one time just to look.
Okay.
And you can't even go inside of the major part, I think, without a certain pass.
Okay.
They let you in a certain part, you can look down into it. So people just randomly go up there and...
She said they were checking out books.
This shit.
On DEI.
And people like,
the Library of Congress. No, Pastor Nick, you're making this up.
It's on camera. I'm like,
no.
I said it to say that
we're level
seeing
of sophistication or lack of.
Yes.
Is so obvious.
So it's commonplace as long as they do what they do.
If anyone else from another party or another ethnicity was that purposely ignorant, because that's intentional ignorance right there.
Yep.
You don't even know about the responsibility you've been assigned. You didn't decide to look up because you thought your experience at the public library down the block, that's what you would take in charge of?
Yes. Yeah.
So all I needed was my library card, and I can just take out any book out of the Library of Congress that I want? Yeah. That's the problem with no civics in school anymore.
Yep. That's true. Yep.
Absolutely the problem. It birthed that kind of ignorance. It now people assume the vice president has power.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Vice presidents have they don't have agendas.
No.
They don't have programs.
They don't.
Like Ms. Harris did not have a border policy because vice presidents don't have
They
policies.
don't have one.
But there's no civics.
There's no civics. Nope. Nope.
Unbelievable.
It's so true.
How do you we need to bring this up. Well, let's talk about something pleasant.
Sure.
So they got a new pope.
Yes.
80 some odd guys, which is a miracle, in record time.
Yeah, that was quick.
They only had like 3 or 4 votes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they do that to make sure because,
Yeah.
And they come up with this guy from America. Now they're already revealed that he's got mixed parentage.
Mm-hmm.
Creole.
I knew he looked a little distinct in certain ways.
Mom is like
Okay.
Either Haitian or something, but she was dark.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was not, obviously.
Yeah.
And so the American Pope appears to be of mixed race.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, whose hair is on fire about that this morning?
Well, for 2 things about this it gets me. It amazes me how so many Protestants who aren't Catholic are complaining about who they chose.
What business is it of
It
yours?
has nothing to do with you. He's not overseeing your church. But what it is he's not bound down to the MAGA ideology.
Well, he wouldn't.
But he's staunch on biblical views as it relates to morality, like husband and wife, no
Good
abortion,
Good stuff.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they want him to be. They thought American. He's going to lean towards.
Why? How?
Thank you. He's a pope. He's not the president.
He's got a pretty big congregation, though.
Yeah, they said in Chicago.
1.8 billion people around the world.
Yeah,
that's his flock.
Yeah,
1.8 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I'm right. Thank you. Can speak English, Spanish, Italian, Latin. I think English, Italian, Latin.
He reads Latin, speaks Spanish, English, and what else?
Italian. I think he's Italian.
Italian.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They say he's a scholar.
Yep.
Yesterday, I was saying to some people, I said, why couldn't he just have been chosen? Because he's qualified.
There you go. There you go.
And watch this. And his ethnicity, as far as I can tell, did not become an issue with the public until he was elected.
Yep.
But obviously, it was not an issue with his peers who elected him.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're not Catholic,
him being Pope has no bearing on your life at all.
Were you that concerned when the last one was?
Thank you.
And he was pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Like I see some of the prophetic in the
same prophets that called our present president Jesus.
Yeah, like Lance Walnut. What's that? How his name?
Walnut.
Yeah.
Walled out.
Okay. Going in on him. How could they pick him? And I'm like, he has
no bearing. How could they pick him?
Because again, their premises, they wanted somebody more right-leaning like they have.
Why does a Catholic pope need to be aligned, watch this, with these Christian views, whether they're radical or not? I mean, we're all supposed to be Christians. Their view is their view. His is theirs. Why do we have to approve of who they elect?
Thank you. No, don't have to. And like you said,
Did they call us and ask us for like an auxiliary vote or anything? Like
No.
Do we feel shut out of the process?
Thank you. I ain't got nothing to do with
Are
it.
they shut out of our processes?
Absolutely. They don't determine what goes in our church. And like you said, 1.8 billion people. He's the Pope of all Catholics around the world, not just America.
That's right.
So he's got to be.
That's right.
Universal. But they were hoping for somebody that's going to be.
Why?
Continue the American agenda. American arrogance,
The Catholic Church is not just an American church. As a matter of fact, the largest part of the Catholic Church is not American.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly.
And why is Lance and others that I know of, and some that I know, why aren't they more concerned with the fact that in Catholic doctrine they don't consider us legitimate churches? Why aren't they? Why weren't they concerned about that?
Yeah. Thank you. You go there, and they be like, oh, nice, Reverend Pastor, whoever, but you're not us.
No. But my brother belongs to the Coptic Catholic Church, the Ethiopian Catholic Church, and they think they're the only legitimate church on the face of the earth. The Ethiopian Catholics. First, they say, only. And everybody else is some aberration or alliteration of them.
Yeah, when you see that different ones. I remember you said Kojic was like that before.
Oh, yeah.
Some Orthodox churches are like that.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't do it our way.
I think some of that is still in coming from Kojic. They thought we were, because I was in it, but I didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
They thought we were the only legitimate church on the face of the earth. If you're not with us, you're out. But then the apostolics came along.
Yep.
And if you weren't Jesus only, you weren't.
You weren't in.
I don't know why we think denominational exclusivity or affection has to be exclusion of other faiths.
Yep. We can't. You're seeing a lot of modern evangelicals. We can't agree to disagree on minor doctrinal issues.
But why can't we just get together on Jesus Christ?
Thank you.
Crucified, buried, and risen. That will unite most faiths.
Yes.
My Muslim friends, they believe Jesus was real. They just don't think he was the Savior. And even the modern translation and acceptance of Christ as a spiritual reality is changing. Farrakhan, changed his stance on this whole thing recently. And because they trust him, they trusted that, yes, his interpretation of this whole thing is different. Now, I believe he was radical early on because he needed to be. He was trying to rally American Muslims. But he's changed his view, and he made it very public. Okay, I was a little wrong on Jesus. All this hating folk is not good. We got to get together. Well,
people grow and evolve. Malcolm was like that. His views started to evolve over time. But I don't. But this us versus them. In politics, religion, all this stuff. It always leads to violence, extremism, conspiracy theories, distrust. Rather than let's focus on what we agree on, and these minor things really don't matter that much.
Absolutely.
After a certain point in time,
I think that's why. The success and the failure of our fellowship is that most people can't agree on Christ crucified, buried, and risen. They want to agree on styles. And the Bible's pretty clear. It's not by your style. It's by my spirit.
There you go. Says the Lord. There you go. But I think we nitpicking, like you said in the video I was watching this morning. We're so focused on what everybody else is doing, not focused on correcting us. And like you said, I think it was this past Sunday. You're looking at the race as running against somebody else, rather than running against the you that you were. It's not
Saul becoming Paul, Jacob becoming Israel, and like I said on the call last night, Jesus becoming Christ. The race is to catch the self that God has created you to be.
Yes. Instead of spending our time trying to correct
Competing
everybody else.
against everybody else.
When trying to get me together is a 24/7 job. Just it's like
minding our own business is a full-time job. We got Robin from Delaware. Let's go to her. Robin, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Bishop and Pastor Nick. How y'all doing this blessed morning?
How you doing, daughter?
How you doing?
I'm good. My spiritual father, my spiritual brother that I love so much.
Everything good out there?
Yeah, everything's good. I'm just taking one day at a time, just listening to your word. Oh, and I want to thank you for teaching on Job a couple of weeks ago at Bible study. I really appreciate that because I know I've been part of Job, and the Job, there might have been others that consider themselves a Job. I thank you for teaching on that.
Did it work for you?
Yeah.
Got some understanding,
it's working
right?
for me.
Got some understanding.
Yes.
Good.
And I thank you for teaching that. And that's something to watch more than once anyway.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty extensive, but I thought it was effective. It helped me.
Yes,
it helped me.
Yes, it was.
You know, good cooks taste the stuff before they give it to somebody else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
you got to taste and make sure it's right.
I like that.
Yeah, good cooks.
I like that.
They don't just give you something they haven't tasted.
That's right.
What's on your mind this morning?
Sometimes you got to keep going back and keep tasting it.
Yeah. What's on your mind this morning?
Yeah. Well, y'all was talking about the mayor that was arrested.
Yep.
I was watching a clip from Roland Martin. We were talking about, Pastor Nick can look it up if he has time. Marlon Paris, he did 2 tours for Iraq, and he was arrested by ICE in January from Arizona, and he's from Trinidad. I remember, Bishop, you said a while ago they're going to start coming after the dark people, and that's what they're doing because he's from Trinidad.
Yeah.
And Trump in 2016 wrote a letter that he wouldn't have to be detained because he had his green card. He's been in the United States for like over, I think he said 2 or 3 decades. And they came and got him. So he's been in detention center since January. And his wife, they're still working to try to, get him out to congressmen and everything. So I said, when I heard that, I said, Bishop said it, that they're going to start coming after us.
Well, it's not about, the illegal immigrant issue. The fact that there have been 12,000 crimes, heinous crimes by, Hispanics and Mexicans and Cubans, and that was but they didn't tell you that 12,000 was over a 20-year period. In the last 20 years, the amount of violence, especially mass shootings and whatnot, have not been performed by, people of Latin descent. And the issue now is that whole piece making the entire country think that every person that's not white is violent and a danger to society, is what has pushed, that's the underpinning of this whole thing. So what is that supposed to do? It's supposed to make America believe that everyone that's not white is a danger. So they're beginning to deport people and arrest people simply because of their color, not even because of their citizenship or lack of it. And my premise has always been, if you read Project 2025, there may be some other people swept up in this thing, but you cannot read that document and not understand that this thing eventually is about black people in America. It's about black folk in America. That's what Project 2025, that's what the whole DEI thing is. They weren't going to tell everybody that white women were the #1 benefactors of DEI. They weren't going to tell them that, but they shaped the conversation. It was brilliant. It was absolutely skillful and brilliant. It was brilliant to make people think when you think DEI, you think black. It was a brilliant strategy, and it worked. Because even black folk thought that DEI meant black. So to hear that white females, Asians, brown people, veterans, handicapped, disabled people, and finally somewhere down the list at about 8 was African Americans benefiting from DEI. And people didn't understand that the I is how they're justifying stripping people off websites, tearing down statues, because the inclusion, we thought inclusion in corporations. No. Their expansion is inclusion in anything. So that's why you saw a lot of stuff taken off websites. That's why you see the kind of legislation that's coming down. That's why HBCUs need to be careful. Because I saw a document 2 days ago, and in that bad boy says how you can revoke everything that supports HBCUs. All that bring them in and let's give them some money that never came was a lie. So now HBCUs are looking at a document that says they can revoke because they don't inclusion. They don't want any black colleges, which is incredible to me. I saw a hearing the other day on TV, and this Republican politician was complaining because an HBCU in Tennessee had increased attendance. Why do you guys have increased? He literally said, "Why do you have increased attendance?" Well, the education, the cultural impact, He said, "Well, I just don't get it. Are you too diverse?" How do these people get elected?
I know. Thank you. Yep.
I know.
But I just saw something with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Next year, I think they're going after Section 8.
You know how many white people on Section 8?
Thank you. In this new proposal, they're coming after Section 8. Now, if they go through that and cut all that Section 8 out, but again, the label Section 8 usually is not.
You thinking black?
They thinking black and brown people.
No, it's white people on there.
It's everybody that needs help with Section 8. I mean, they call it a voucher now, but this is, I know, like Bishop said, things are going to change. When you said God's not going to allow us to go on for so long, but it's just so much that's going to be hurting a lot of people.
But I think what's going to happen, Robin, you're going to see almost all this stuff end up in court. So the statement will be made, the executive order, which, some of this stuff you can't even do without Congress being involved. But the executive order will give the impression, and all they're trying to do is create fear in people, even though they don't care that this stuff might be in court for 3 years. Thank you, Robin. We got to let you go, okay?
All right, y'all have a blessed day.
All right, see you now. I got a question. And maybe, I haven't processed your answer correctly. What are they trying to accomplish when they know midterms are coming up? Are they banking on people not coming out for midterms? They're seeing a reaction now that the population, America does not seem to be in line with what they're doing because they've hurt a lot of people that supported them. So are they is something to be gained in the 2 years that they don't care about losing at the midterms? What is it?
Part of me thinks that they're in their own hubris. They believe they're not going to lose the midterms.
Okay.
To them, we got this.
And they have reason to believe that because people have voted against their best interest before.
Yeah. And again, it's not, they don't have to win every state. They just got to win all the right stuff.
Do you think they do, you know what, do you think, okay, because they're evil geniuses, do you think that a couple months before the midterm, they'll flip the switch back that, I'm really looking out for you, I know it feels like, but how do you tell working people, you're going to have to go through a hard time?
Yeah.
How do people that have the best health care in the world tell you and me, I'm going to take your health care?
Yep.
How do you do that?
Yep. Raise prices on you. And we pay for their health care.
Of course we do.
We pay for that stuff.
And how do you tell me that prices have gone down in the grocery store when I'm going to the grocery store every week?
Thank you. I asked the lady, I said, this used to be $12 a pound last year. It's $20 a pound now. And she said, yeah, our prices went up. Just smiled. I was like...
He said first day.
First day.
First day they started going up.
Yeah.
Not down. Okay.
Well, he made a post online. Y'all should be thanking me because I'm hearing gas is down to $1.89.
Where?
Well, thank you. And everybody's like, where? Nobody see no gas, $1.89.
No, he means his gas.
His gas, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
his farts.
Okay, yeah.
It's down to $1.89. Okay, cubic inch.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
But somebody put in the comments, and it's so true. We saw this on House of Cards.
Okay.
Thank you, Melanie Crawford. Create a fire, then put it out, and you look like a hero. And that is the political game.
There you go.
They all play.
Yeah.
Create the problem, fix the problem.
Some fires get out of control.
That's the problem. You can't control every fire.
Yeah. Some fires spread real fast. And this one appears to be doing so.
Yep.
And because they have so much to implement. And the other thing that I found out is that a lot of what the agenda for Project 2025, the stuff we're dealing with every day, the flurry of executive orders and all, is the smoke screen. And behind the scenes, they're getting a lot of this stuff in place. And once again, they're banking on the American public, not reading and not researching, and just believing, all these different venues. I was watching a press conference the other day, and reporters are afraid to ask a question. They have to couch it in so much butt kissing that the actual question is lost. And the Levitt lady, she seems like a cyborg to me. But here's what I noticed. And you correct me. I'm ready to be corrected. Somebody call us and correct us. Tom, we're coming to you. Sometimes when a question is asked, she looks down at her notes.
Oh, she probably has prepared.
So I'm wondering if some of the reporters are asking her, because some extensive answers are not off. I mean, we're extemporaneous when we need to be. Some of those answers are not off the top of her head. And I noticed she's looking down and reading her answer extensively. I'm saying, well, she either was prepared for that question and prepared the reporter to ask her.
I wouldn't be surprised, because like they said, the first, week or two, that's when they put that thing in place where they determined what press would come in. And certain ones wouldn't get in. So I wouldn't be surprised if you want to come in, this is what you ask.
Because a lot of the people I'm used to seeing at a presidential press conference are not there anymore. And you can almost tell who's not going to be invited back to the next one because that's a ridiculous question. I don't even know. Let's go to somebody else. I'm like, yo.
And you don't see them.
Caroline. Whoa.
They want to shape the narrative.
Girl, shape it. They chisel it. Let's go to Tom from Fort Lauderdale.
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing, Pastor?
Hey, Tom. Thanks for your patience this morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. Bishop, you said something key just now about being afraid to ask a question. I look at every interview Trump does now, and I think he's not afraid. If you ask him the wrong question, he's going to cut you off, and he's not going to answer and probably stop the interview.
And then start calling you nasty, and especially if it's a female. He really doesn't like being questioned by ladies. And just asking for the truth is him, I gave you this interview because I thought you would know how to behave, and you're really a nasty person. All I did was ask you a question. You want to clarify X, Y, and Z. So, what does Melania do? Say nothing?
Probably.
I don't know.
Even this past week, I saw with the lady from NBC, and made a comment that was so childish. She said, well, the economy is not going as you said. He goes, well, if you take the bad part of that, that was Biden. The good part is me.
How?
That was the answer. That was the answer. In other words, not the bad part was Biden.
He literally
the good
said
part
that.
Was me.
There's no pissing section in the pool. There is none.
Yeah, but people are buying it.
Well, look, we saw when Biden was president, the extreme, they said Trump was working behind the scenes and Biden was the shadow president. And all the bad stuff that happened was Biden's fault. If anything good happened, that was Trump pulling the lever behind the scenes.
If Trump was working behind the scenes and the bad was too, why don't you just take credit?
Thank you. But they can't.
And why don't they leave Biden alone?
I know. He chilling. Him and his wife chilling.
He's the only president that always talks about his predecessor.
Because the whataboutism is the way most weak people defend themselves. I mean, children do it to each other. Well, Johnny did so-and-so. We're not talking about Johnny right now. I asked you the question about you breaking the window. What's up with the distraction?
I know.
No.
Hey, Bishop, something a little different. You said something, and it made me think of, I had a problem with this years ago. HBCUs. I had a guy who worked for me, a white guy, who was from New Jersey, so he didn't understand totally. And he said to me, real cocky, Tom, why do they have all them HBCUs? I got right in this guy's face and said, my dad couldn't go to the University of South Carolina.
Wow.
He had to go to South Carolina State.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy didn't know. He went, well, what do you mean? I said, he wasn't allowed to go to Clemson or these universities. He had to go to South Carolina State or Benedict, one of these. And this guy's whole... So many people out there don't even understand why those HBCUs are there.
They were created because of a lack of availability. The AME Church was born because the white Methodists didn't want the black people going to the Methodist Church, so the African Methodist Episcopal Church was birthed.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Because of a lack of availability.
Why is there a black church?
Because you didn't want us in
Right,
yours.
there you go.
And Bishop Pope, it was Cuban, supposed to be his grandmother.
Cuban?
But through New Orleans, Creole. And it appears as though the family's okay with the darker part of the family. They never identified as black or white, supposedly the grandparents.
Yeah.
They identified as, what they do in New Orleans?
Creole.
They identified as Creole.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is a nice, beautiful word for black and white together.
Yep. Of mixed origin.
Yeah, you got some milk in your coffee. That's all that is.
That's all.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Bishop, I saw this thing too real quick, where it was saying that Pope, before he was Pope, there's some criticizing of our president and vice president.
Oh, yeah.
Or especially the deporting and everything else.
Oh, yeah. He's going to have something to say about that.
He's going to ante up.
He's going to have something to say about that. He pastors an international church. I think he was stationed in South America for a long time.
Peru.
He was a missionary,
Yeah.
you know, and not in the United States, a missionary in Spanish-speaking parts of the world. So, you know, what's the guy going to do? Get to be the Pope and do like some people do and forget the people that got him there?
Yep.
No, I think this guy's integrity.
He's going to do his thing.
Right. He's right. Yeah.
He's going to do the right thing.
He started. You know, he started before the white smoke came up.
Yeah.
Because of course, he wasn't even considered at first in the running.
Yep.
But his predecessor, they said about him, well, we don't know who's going to be elected, but it will not be a Jesuit. And look what happened.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
You cannot predict what the Lord's going to do.
Yep.
You can't predict it. But just for 80 religious men of faith to agree in that short a period of time, who's going to lead us until they die, is a miracle in itself.
It is. Yep.
It's a miracle in itself.
I thought this was going to take a few weeks, man. This was quick.
Man, they went in there and said, who's the most qualified?
Yeah.
And who wants the job?
That's true.
Dude went to school in Philly, got his degree in mathematics at Villanova, but he also holds a PhD and a master's. This guy, he ain't no dummy.
But one of the smartest guys in the room, and I think they acknowledged it. You know, but of course, some people are going to say this was a DEI appointment, but he's too qualified for you to say that.
Correct.
I mean, switching from Spanish to in the middle of his speech.
Latin, Italian, he just was
5 languages.
Yeah.
Guy was smoking, man. I'm like, yo, check this guy out.
He was.
Hey, Bishop, before you guys take me off here, I have to ask Pastor Nick about this one. Janine Pirrr Peroa, Fox News host.
Yeah.
Judge Janine, you know what's going on with her, right?
Didn't Trump said he wanted to appoint her to something?
Prosecutor for the District of Columbia.
Yes.
Why?
Because she's a Fox News host.
What is it with all these TV I guess, well, he thinks he's a TV personality to surround himself with TV. Okay.
Yeah, another yes person.
The D.C. prosecutor, yeah.
Why?
He wants her to be that, yeah. He's picking his people. It doesn't matter the qualifications, just...
What these people don't understand. The president spent yesterday and the day before disconnecting himself from the decisions that his people were making. Mm-hmm. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about it. Either it's a horrible revelation of being uninformed.
Yes.
Or he's now trying to distance himself from what he told them to do, which is his MO.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's never his fault.
If it turns out good, I told him to do it. If it takes a bad turn, I don't know nothing about it.
I never talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, he said he didn't know his lawyer.
Yeah.
And Cohen was doing all his dirty work.
Right. No.
He said, I barely know him. Who's that guy?
Mm-hmm. But logic says, if you pick them, you should hold yourself responsible for making all these bad choices.
That's not how he sees
it reminds me of people in relationships. Everybody break up with, it's everybody else's fault. It's never mine. Never I chose these people.
Not the common denominator.
Nah, not at all.
Not like they used to say back in the old church, it's me.
It's me.
It's me. He repeated like, what? Right. It's me. You know? All right, man.
All right.
You guys have a great day. And, hey, everybody out there, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
We're going to Danny from Lauderhill, Florida. Good morning, Danny.
Bishop, Pastor Nick, how y'all doing this morning?
Man, we're doing better now that we're hearing from you. What's going on down in Florida? Give us the 411, man.
Okay, well, I'm getting ready for hurricane season. It's starting up in the next couple of weeks, so I'm all prepared. Everything's all checked out, ready.
I know. I forgot.
Danny, I don't know how you do that.
Well, I have a list each year, and my wife checks the list off of things that we have to have and see what we have used the previous year and make sure that nothing is outdated, make sure we have plenty of fuel, we have our generators ready to go, and plenty of water and what have you. So we just go through the routine and make sure we're ready, have evacuation plans, if we have to go this way or that way, which way we're going to go. So it becomes routine. So,
I have a curious, humorous question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you say we're getting ready for hurricane season, every single time you ever say that to me, I wondered, why not get ready by moving?
right. Go somewhere else.
My goodness.
Yeah. They said a lot of seniors are starting to move to Texas now.
Why?
Because certain parts of Texas, you still get the heat of Florida without all the hurricanes of Florida.
I don't know.
The senior population, like not like the down by the water, but by
not,
Dallas
not
area.
Gulf,
That area.
The governor down there is just.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be jumping out of governor frying pan into another governor frying pan.
I know.
But I guess the hurricane thing is. Danny, they just.
I guess you grew up with it.
Get ready for it.
They just used to it.
Yes.
Hurricanes ran my brother out of Florida.
But Bishop, I wanted to compliment you on one thing. A couple of weeks ago, I called in and I talked with Pastor Nick, and I told him to relay the message to you, what you told us and him, what y'all told us, and also taught us about education and what have you. And something that I have learned by watching the two of you work together is that young and old, and that I learned to listen and bring the family back together. And it's working. And by that, what I mean, where you told us, as far as education goes, to go ahead and make sure that the kids know which direction they're going in. Talk with them, listen, and what have you. So I've applied that. And when a couple of years ago, when you were talking about paying for school, make sure that you have the money, and make sure you know where you're going. And you don't have to go to a big name school and what have you. Go to a regular 2-year university or something like that and work your way up. Well, what happened is that everything comes make a full turn, wherein that we see that the government is demanding money that was sent out and what have you, supposedly to help our kids go to school and what have you. And you were saying that, you don't have to have that kind of name, but just make something you can afford and what have you. So long story short is that people that I've talked to, and after we heard that, we applied these different things and paying it back and what have you. We see now that the government is demanding money right back that they own that has been loaned to them on these different scholarships, and they got to pay it back.
Wow.
And they're demanding it, and they're talking about garnishing checks and what have you. Well, we don't have that problem because they knew exactly what they were going to do. They didn't change their major. Like Dr. Nick said, make sure that they know what the major is going to be. That's what they want, So we follow with checklist and that. Make sure you know what you want, and we work with them in high school, to go ahead and get good grades, so you can go ahead and get a scholarship. Work that. That's another way of not knocking the price down. So I just want to thank you for all that information.
Appreciate it, man. How my sister doing?
Blessed and highly favored.
Tell her, give her a hug for me. Tell her I said hello.
Will do, Bishop. Will do.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Okay.
Right, bye-bye. I see where they are. They stopped the forgiveness. But I also see where they've decided that those people that are delinquent, they're going to garnish their pay until the debt is settled. And not just a portion of their pay, their entire pay.
They're going to start getting it. Yep.
So you're gonna probably have to move in with your mother. Go to work 40 hours a week and watch the government take the whole pay. They're not taking $20.
Nope. They're taking money. And it's like, I saw some people, and I've seen this, that they're paying more than a minimum every month on their loan payment, but they're watching their principal balance go up because the interest rate is so high.
Absolutely.
So they're paying on it for 10 years, and their loan started off at 100, and 10 years later it's down to 90,000. They only paid off $10,000. But it's just the way they have it set up.
It's compound interest.
Yeah.
Interest that multiplies.
This is
it's a racket.
It is a racket.
But if you remember, our president had a university where extremely high tuition, and a lot of people went in a lot of debt. And he, got sued for that and had to get the money back. So now he has a problem with anybody who has any loan forgiveness. And I believe a lot of programs that benefit people from working families. I believe that's going to go away.
It is. They're chipping away at this thing. Somebody said in the comments, it's true. They're trying to make it where this country's set up for the wealthy. And if you don't have money, you basically on your own for the most part.
But why don't they see that as affirmative action?
It's like corporate, what do they call it?
The affirmative action of wealth is real.
It is.
The affirmative action of legacy is real. They say some crazy percentage, 60% of people that get into Ivy League schools get in because of legacy, not performance.
Yep. Who you know.
My dad went here. And then if your dad's performance wasn't good, you can buy a chair. That gets you into school. Build a building.
Get in school.
So affirmative action of wealth is real.
Absolutely. Corporate welfare happens all the time.
Wealth and position.
We don't mind giving billionaires more money to help them. But I think the way they crafted it a few years ago, where they start calling them job creators rather than, and I have no problem with wealth. I don't have a problem with people making money. Make as much money as you can.
Absolutely.
As long as it doesn't hurt people. But they started reframing that and call them job creators. We need to give them more money so they can create more jobs for you and give you bonuses. And they don't. Like,
when the taxes go up, it is not on the wealthy. It's on the middle class and lower middle class working people. That's where they get the bulk of the tax revenue.
Yep.
And wealthy people generally don't pay any or little income tax.
Yep.
They pay capital gains
tax, which is like what, 10 or 15%?
Different game.
Whole different game.
They pay capital gains. They don't pay income tax. So that means not only do they pay very little comparative to what they earn, But if they make a few purchases, they can defer for
time.
Yeah, but not working for, you can't defer your income tax.
Nope.
No, ma'am.
Nope. And I know companies that are boasting record profits, but laying people off.
Absolutely.
While they're telling everybody how much money they're making. But we can't afford these people.
That's normal.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like,
that's normal corporate life.
That's normal corporate life.
Because the laying off increases the bottom line.
Yes. They're going to squeeze that juice out of that thing.
But they have to lay off thousands for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then they complain about unemployment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, we saw how they did it before, where it's like, we'll hire you and make you work almost full time without giving you any benefits.
Absolutely. Oh, there's ways.
We'll contract you rather than,
There's ways.
And they save money just all.
There's ways.
I just,
It's dastardly.
It is.
Evil geniuses.
Yep. So. It's not 50.
Derek, we're going to have to talk to you next week. We got less than 1 minute here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. Tomorrow, of course, is Sunday, Mother's Day. To all the mothers, we want to say have a blessed Mother's Day. We have 2 services tomorrow. 8 a.m. is our virtual service. 11 a.m. is our live service here at the Plaza in Lindenwold. Our yard sale's coming up on the 17th. Small businesses and people that want to, repurpose some of the goods in your homes. The tables are only $50. We're having it here on the grounds. It's going to be a wonderful day of fun and fellowship, and also moving some of that stuff out of your house. And those of you with small businesses, you can get a table for $50 and hundreds of people coming through all day long. You'll be able to get some exposure in your business. If you need some updates on what's going on around here, text BBC News to 28950. Need a little inspirational lift during the week, BBC Elevate to 28950. We want to pray with you, so send your prayer request to prayer@go2bethany.com. That's prayer@go2bethany.com. Also, subscribe to our David G. Evans 1 and BBC of NJ on YouTube. And subscribe to our podcast, DGEMS, DGEMS, that's for David G. Evans Ministries, and On Point. As always, for Pastor Nicholas A. Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. Remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you. See you next time on Point.